Welcome, Archana. Who's Archana?
Yeah, me. I'm a new
Welcome.
member. First time I'm joining.
Yes, first time. Ruchita, welcome. This is Tamara. Welcome. Who are you dressed as? May I know?
I thought I would be Kakoli because she seems cool,
Oh,
and I did.
Oh.
I'm the only one who could
there's
sport a
your German.
sleeveless blouse because I had nothing
There's your
and short
German.
hair. My German. Right now, I'm not talking to him on the phone. I'm busy with like other people.
Okay. You're dressed up. Archana, you're dressed up as?
No, sorry, I couldn't dress up as anything. I've just come from work.
Okay, you look Bengali, all right. So that's fine. Bengali UPite. You belong to a northern family. So great. And Rujukta, you are, may I ask, indiscreetly or discreetly?
No, it's not clear. Then should I fade?
No, it's clear, but I want to know.
Saida Bai, right?
Saida Bai.
Oh, nice job.
Welcome.
This is wonderful. Oh, so sporting to dress up so nicely as Saida Bai. That's lovely.
Yeah, Sienna Gomes is coming.
Oh, we need to see you on the screen more clearly, Saida Bai.
I'm not clear.
I
very
couldn't
nice
see. Can you like come in the main frame? I don't know how that works, but
Yeah. Is there an option to pin?
Do that
me,
in a-
maybe.
for
is
each
there?
one. Let some more join in. Sienna's just that's
Oh, yeah.
Let's
So
not
sporting, so well dressed.
Where's your dog?
Beautiful, Ruchita. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Lovely.
The others also. Gauravi.
Yeah, you should put everyone one by one. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm so happy. It's really Gauravi, that's you. Wonderful. My God, you really look like the patient Savita. And beautiful and patient Savita.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Shall we start with the
This
discussion?
is Tamara.
The much awaited discussion.
Yeah. Tamara is Kakoli, right?
Yeah, she looks as boisterous and sort of naughty as.
I thought of being man. I really thought of being
Blouse
man
is
with
such
my
a
hair.
killer way, no?
I didn't have anything sleeveless and I'm wearing a top. So I was like, yes, let's just go with this. But I really thought of being man for a bit. I said, should I be man? I just needed a hat. And I said, no, let's be.
But where's your phone? You're supposed to be having
Oh,
a
sorry. Sorry, I'm busy.
Lovely.
So sorry, I'm new to the club. This is my first meeting. So there seems to be a sort of gender bias. So is this an all-female club, or is it just happens that it's,
They probably come in late.
okay?
Malti, as you know, rightly is a medical student, so it matches very well. Then the others. Sienna.
Yeah, Tavya, I'm just myself.
Oh, you're just yourself, okay. Archana also hasn't dressed up. She's coming for the first time. So welcome, Archana. Welcome.
Thank you.
Again, Tamara. And the rest of us, like, we are regulars. So I think let's begin. The men have decided to boycott, so just as well. They're colorful characters. Some may join in later on. So Bryson is one of the Baitar boys. From the Baitar house. So he's wearing a kurta. Right?
Hello.
Hello.
It's Bryson. He hasn't read the
Yes.
book because he's a 12th year student and he's working hard. So I promised to give him the episodes to see. If any one of you wants it on a pen drive, please let me know. I can just leave it at Dr. Deepa's hospital. Leave the pen drive there and I'll leave it at Dr. Deepa's hospital, okay? Yeah, let's begin. Gauravi, the floor is all yours, please.
Thank you, Savya. Good evening, everyone. I would like to officially welcome you all to this discussion on A Suitable Boy of the Margao Book Club. So, as you know, this book was published in 1993, almost 30 years back. And it's one of the longest books in Indian English literature. I'm sure all of us, I think I took almost like a month and a half to cover it in bits. And, you know, although the novel is so long, the author does not waste time to get into the crux of the plot at all. You know, the right in the beginning, in the first line, that Mrs. Rupa Mehra says that you two will marry a boy of my choice, or something along similar lines. So he jumps into the crux, despite the fact that the book is so long, and it gives a very Jane Austenian kind of feel to me. The first thing that I remembered was the first paragraph of Pride and Prejudice when I read the book. You know, this book is many things, like a typical Indian dinner table. I think the book brings in a lot of flavors to the brings a lot of flavors out to the readers, you know, with each and every cultural, whether it is cultural flavors or political flavors or just emotions. There's a lot happening, and I'm hoping that all of us are able to explore it together in this meeting. So without wasting much time, I think we can go on to explore all those different facets of flavors that are there in the book. And I leave the floor open for you all to start the discussion. I think we can, we could perhaps start with, I have taken the liberty of jotting down some points that we could discuss. I think since a couple of us have started with, you know, have taken the effort of dressing up as characters, perhaps we could start with why we chose that particular character and get into the discussion maybe.
Good. Dr. Ruhi, you'll have to sit up because we can't see you. Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
So anybody could take the lead. Or I could start with why I'm dressed up as Savita. So the reason, when Savya mentioned that she's going to dress as Rupa Mehra, and, you know, I was very thankful to her for giving me the opportunity to moderate this session. I thought the only appropriate choice for a moderator would be to be Savita, because Rupa Mehra, you know, she stands as this matriarch figure in the book. And the plot begins with Savita's marriage. So to me, if it wasn't for Savita's marriage, we wouldn't get to explore all the characters that we meet through the marriage of Pran and Savita. So if Savya is Rupa Mehra, I think the only appropriate choice for the moderator would be Savita, because I'm hoping that through the moderator, this discussion comes to fruition. So that is why I chose the character of Savita.
I thought she was giving me another explanation. I just jumped. And then she said, no. Literally.
I thought you're being Savita because she picked up, you know, studying law after she got married and into, she was already married and things like that. And you're doing your PhD, right?
Right, yes. So yeah, we could read into it that way, yes. And I also had an arranged marriage myself as well. So I think we can. So Rujuta, since you've already started talking, I think you can tell us your fascination with Saida Bai.
Actually, me and Tanvi were discussing in the afternoon, and I was also torn between, we also discussed in the morning, I was torn between Meenakshi and Saida Bai, because, you know, just the wide array, like choice of clothes and jewelry and dress up, you know, glamorously and everything. So since we already dressed up as Meenakshi, so I said, okay, then I will try and go in for Saida Bai. That was the only reason. But the other, like if you talk about character wise, Saida, even though she's in control of her destiny, she's not in control of her destiny. And even though there are so many people, you know, mad about her, there is still always a tinge of sadness that goes along. So that really touched. She becomes vulnerable towards the end when she realizes that she loves Man. Till then, she is very, you know, running from the fact that she does not want him to be close to her. She sends him away to the village so that she can maintain that distance. So I don't know, the whole facet of everything, like, you know, the glamorous woman, but she has so many other facets to it, to her personality, made me, like, I was really drawn to her character through the book. I will come back if I think of anything else, but right now maybe you can take some other points.
Right. Dr. Preeti, I think maybe you could tell us a little bit.
Nobody, no Lata, surprisingly.
Yes,
And no
surprisingly. Okay,
Yeah, you need somebody with those big, beautiful eyes to.
right.
That's true. I think Dr. Preeti speaking now.
Is Dr. Preeti saying something? I can't hear.
Dr. asked to unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your mic is on mute. We cannot hear you. Can you unmute your mic, please?
Just send her a message. I think that'll be better.
Yeah.
Fiona Gomes is there.
Seems to have
I
frozen.
think there's
her
some,
screen.
yes, there's some issue, I guess.
Okay.
Shall we wait or shall we continue?
We continue. She can join in later.
Yes. Okay. Tanvi, would you like to share?
Yeah, okay. In the beginning, I have a confession to make, which I already made with Rujita and Savya, that I couldn't complete. I'm like, it's a guilty feeling that I couldn't complete reading the book since I was caught up in a lot of things. Yet, whatever I have read, it has been a very engrossing and a page turner for me. And I think the question was why I chose this character. As Rita said, we were discussing, and I was actually caught up between Lata and Saida because these are the two characters which kind of catch your attention since the beginning of the novel. And they are such strong and powerful characters. Yet, although Meenakshi, why I chose her, if I have to justify, and of course, I had this very blingy orange sari and this blouse, which I rarely wear. But that is not the only reason. I think she's also someone who's very bold in her choices, till whatever I have read about her as a character. And in the period in which it is set in, I think you rarely find women, you would rarely find women like Meenakshi. So for me, her character brings in that sort of modernity, and yet she's so much. There is also so much of pretense in her, which of course not at all with regard to my original self. Yet she kind of amuses in spite of her all her what I must say. Uh, it's not really clearly clear that it's an affair, but looks like that she pretends a lot with regards to relationships, with regards to her marriage, and yet you realize that was the plight of women. And I think why most of us have chosen, or most of the women who come today to participate in this meet, is the reason why the women characters in the novel stand out so much, in spite of the title of the novel being A Suitable Boy. And today itself I read that Sage is planning a sequel called A Suitable Girl, if I'm not mistaken, and which is probably going to release soon. So I think probably he has, specifically and intentionally created this very varied, very different, yet very strong women characters. And so probably that justifies why we were all amused with them. Yeah, that's it. If I have something else, then I would like to say it later. Thank you, Gab.
Thank you, Tanvi. Tamara?
I think Aditya has
Yeah,
come
yeah.
in for the first time.
Yes.
Please welcome him. And
Someone has joined in. Okay.
First of all, I actually did not. Kakuli is not my favorite character, though I honestly think she was. All the Chatterjees were like really interesting
Colourful.
because for me, the entire book, everyone else, like, you know, the Kapoors, the Khans, the Mehras of the world were all really, really conscious about this society with rules that they had to kind of abide with. And then there were the Chatterjees who kind of made up their own rules in life, you know, and just lived life the way they wanted to. So anywhere they were the talk of the room because of their behavior, which we today would have considered absolutely normal. So they were definitely my favorite family from the book. So, and I honestly only chose Kakuri because of the fact that I had a sleeveless blouse. If I had a choice, I think Man was my favorite character from the book because he was surprisingly one story I was really rooting for. I mean, he was irresponsible, but he was, you know, he had his heart on his sleeve throughout. He had these strange streaks of integrity in between. He had these strange, like, you know, fighting for someone's rights, an ability to see right from wrong, and no matter what the world said, just stood, like, take a stance and stand by it. So also his story took such a drastic turn. I was really, really also I was really hoping that it would be Man and Lata in the end. I don't know why. By the time I reached halfway, I realized that it was not going to be the story.
Same here.
Yeah, but I really thought that, I mean, I think we should have this discussion a little later about did Lata really make the right choice? According to me, it was not. But I mean, I would have said Man would be it from for me. He was the most fascinating character of the book. Yeah. So that was one part about it. I think we can come around later about the other thoughts that I have about the suitable boys and unsuitable girls of the book.
I think Dr. Preeti has sent a message saying, could you please ask Bryson to let me into the meeting? Is she part of the meeting already?
She was here, right?
Yeah, the message has just been sent like a minute ago.
There's no one in the waiting room.
Hi, Aparna. Yes.
Yeah,
Hi, Aparna.
Is there anyone else who would like to share with us why they are dressed the way they are?
Yes, I think I could chip in.
Yes.
When I began the book, it was a very unsophisticated character that came in. She was crying and she was, putting things into her blouse. And I said, oh my God, she's so conventional, and she's playing out her widowhood to the hilt. But as the book grew further, I was very absorbed as to how everyone is towing the line for this woman. So I just wanted to know if she was in some ways a metaphor for Mother India. The way she makes her choices, the way she rules out the Bengali elites. She doesn't want Aditya as a son-in-law because she says, look, he's qualified and he's, just a poet. So that doesn't appeal to her at all. The Badralog thing of someone being a poet, which would have been so attractive for someone to have a son-in-law. But when she's making her choices, she's so pragmatic. And even Lata, who in the beginning rebels against that, and she's all the time telling her mother that she's not going to choose someone, she will settle for someone she's going to choose for her. In the beginning also, she kind of scoffs her or treats her very lightly, but eventually Lata toes the line. So, when discussing this, I was just playing with the idea whether Seth is trying to look for an Indian, a post-colonial Indian who has the mettle, who has the character, who has the humility, who has the directness to work with his hands, who has the humility to accept a lower position, at the same time strive for something higher, who has a degree, and who's very frank with people. Like, he comes across as very frank when he tells everybody, he had this he was in love with Simran. He's telling it like to everyone, even the would-be bride. And he tells it very frankly, and he says, "You must accept her as a friend." So, at that is a character that he's plotting for a future Indian, who will, have an openness of character, will not be casteist, will work with his hands, will make a self-choice for the partner he loves, and at the same time, take the permission of parents, take the permission of his former love and then kind of settle for the marriage. I love the way he changes for Lata. He's all the time very considerate as a would-be partner. So there are some very nice qualities about that. Coming back to coming back to Rupa Mehra, uh, there are some things she holds very close to her heart, like her husband's medals. And then, through the eyes of the other family members, suddenly you see the passing of time, how this whole thing of things of value is changing, especially for Minakshi. Not so much for Arun because he still has some sentimental value, but for Minakshi, the whole value system is totally different. And at the same time, though they are mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, she kind of is very direct in raising her objections. At that time, the other time is when she gives her a gift, which she had formerly said, this is something I don't like. It's that Japanese little box. And he says, I'm going to give it away. And then right enough, it is given to Rupa Mehra on her birthday. So I like the way that despite the disadvantages that she enjoys, she carries through. But it's never a character that I'm going to emulate in real life, because I have kind of more revolutionary ideas but rebellious ideas. But it's a character that is so well developed, and it represents a time, and it represents an aspect of Hindu Indian society that I took it out because of
I can holler. Something is coming for you for.
This is
for eating.
Aparna. She's really Niharika, but today she's Aparna, and she's sitting very silently because she loves her avo, grandmother. Okay. Now.
Thank you, Savia. That was I think, a lovely explanation, and sort of drifted into the next point that perhaps we could discuss about how she stands out as the matriarch in the book. And that's quite ironical because we are discussing in India that was in the 1950s, and right from that time we have this notion about the country being very patriarchal, despite the fact that even in this book you have a lot of women characters that flourish and stand out more powerfully than the male characters, except for maybe the character of Man. Rest of the other powerful characters are all women. So keeping that in mind, would anyone like to take this discussion further ahead about the role of Rupa Mehra or the other women in the book in the 1950s, or maybe you could relate it to what's happening right now and how those characters span out in the novel, and what do you think what kind of prominence do you all think it holds with respect to relationships between those women, or how they perceive themselves or how they project themselves to the world around them? And maybe I don't want to use the word feminism because it's for various reasons, but along those lines, if you want to explore the characters that are there in the book, anybody wants to share their opinion?
Quite Aditya, because he's the...
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So this is my first book in this club. And for that matter... Hello? Video. Okay.
Can you put on your video, please?
Okay. Let me check.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, just sit up a little bit because we are more on the fan. Oh, lovely.
Okay. So I'm as you have seen, I'm not dressing up for any character, but the main thing about this book, and it was the longest book I have read. So yeah, I started on the 2nd of January and I finished yesterday. So it was almost I used to read 3-4 hours a day, and I managed to finish it in that way. But sometimes it was very boring. Sometimes I felt like the book went out of the context. But the most important, the most significant thing for me in this book was the two friendships which they have shown, like the friendship between Nawab of Baitar and Mahesh Kapoor, and Firoz and Man. So they are like two friendships which are like one of the pair is the older one and the other is in the younger generation. But the way like the story progresses and when they are almost all of them are against each other by the end of the book, and then suddenly they forgive each other. So the friendship was so deep that even after all these things, they realized what was going wrong, and because they were connected so warmly in their friendships, they forgave each other. So that was the main thing for me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, yes.
So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Aditya. Okay. Anyone else? I mean, I think
Fiona, Dr. Fiona.
yes. Okay, we can move on to someone else who wants to share their views.
Can I say something?
Yes, yes, Tanvi.
Continuing with what Aditya said, that about the friendships, and especially because they belong to two different religions, and especially this was the time, I think, where Hindu Muslims had this kind of communal tension, already in the country. The partition, and there are so many references rather in the novel about partition and about how a lot of people lost their property, and they had to leave their homes and go to either of the sides. And I think that also comes out as a major theme in the novel, the religion as a major theme, and how there are different dynamics, whether animosity or whether harmony. So I think what Savia said, that there is a metaphor of India in Rupa Mehra. Rather, all characters kind of, they represent a microcosm of India, where in certain places there is harmony between people belonging to different religions or caste, and in certain places there isn't. So these characters represent that, in spite of being located in one particular region. Um, Also, I think um, I've been reading a lot about post-colonial theories these days. I've been attending a lecture series, and that made me think that how even this novel, A Suitable Boy, is very strongly post-colonial, as it deals with both the kind of nostalgia, the spirit of colonial times. Some characters do hold that, and also the colonial hangover that a lot of Indians still hold, and which is very difficult to get rid of, I think. And this, since it is set in a period where the impact of colonization was so strong, and rather I would say it was not even over. 50s was the period where India was just realizing that, okay, now it's free. But there are so many instances where we see that uh, uh, like where I think there's this mention about shifting the measures from kilogram. I think it is Haresh who talks about it, right? So yeah, this is just one instance that I remember. So there is this. It is so strongly, reflecting the post-colonial nuances as a work of art. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Gauri.
Yeah, you're right, Tanvi. I think the book, it can be read as every character, I think, in the book can be read as a metaphor. And I think all of them have, like you said, some sort of post-colonial hangover that is happening in the book strongly. So we have, we have characters like Arun and Meenakshi and Amit, or even Kakuli for that matter, who are, they're sort of more westernized. I mean, they have the British influence on them. We have characters like Man and Pran, Pran and Savita are sort of like this balance between the tradition and modernity, and or tradition, British culture and Indian culture. Whereas I think Lata stands for this symbol of, for me, whilst reading the book, you know, the whole journey of Lata choosing a husband for herself, or her mother trying to make her choose a husband for herself, was more about, you know, she was like this representative figure of an Indian, a youth from India trying to battle the dilemma, you know, between finding a balance between how much she should be listening to what others or her parents have to say, how much of independence should she be asserting, or how much should she be, you know, balancing herself out between her culture, her roots, and what the new India has to offer. So keeping that, and even Harish, I think Harish stands for this rise of the middle class, you know, which is why he stands out as the powerful figure, because from then on we had the rise of middle class happening in India, and he's the perfect representation of that. So all these characters are metaphors in themselves. You have Saida Begum, who is Saida Bai, who is a representation of the lost Mughal culture. And like Aditya said, you know, there's a lot of there were some points where I was disappointed in the book as well, especially when it comes to Urdu poetry. We can get into that later. But would anyone like to share something along these lines about characters as metaphors, or how do you think they identified with different characters, or what they stand for, or what feelings it evoked in you all? Is there something someone would like to add to this?
Archana, would you like to go? Aruna?
Yeah.
Ruhi?
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. See, let me first of all tell I'm having a bad connection. So just let me know if my voice goes in between so that I can stop, okay?
All right.
Hello? Am I audible now?
Yes, absolutely.
First of all, hi to everybody. I'm really enjoying this discussion. This is the first time I'm joining here. You know, the book was very long, but I think I found it at least so interesting that I finished it. I mean, I was checking your messages on the group, and I think I finished it almost when many of them were just on 7 or 8 chapter. One thing is because I like to read fast, and maybe I did a bit of cheating in the sense that it was so descriptive, like describing the garden and all things like that. Maybe I did some rapid reading there. You know, I would just like to talk on that point. The book itself is so descriptive. I mean, even that Mrs. Kapoor's garden, or even when they go to that animal skin for the shoes, like there is so much description. And I was wondering, nowadays you don't find so much description in the books. And I was wondering whether it is because today we are so much exposed to the social media and on the internet. We have access of everything. So whenever somebody says something, we can imagine it. But during the time the book was written, that TV and internet and all was not there. So people needed a little bit description. Could that be one of the reason? I don't know. I just thought came to my mind, that maybe that was one of the reason why the full book is very descriptive. One more thing I really admired about the book is there are so many stories running parallel. So many life stories. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
You're audible.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. There are so many lives stories running parallel. And at one point or the other, they get connected somewhere. But I really found it very admirable that a writer can keep so many stories, so many lives running parallel to each other. Because normally when we read any book, it is centered around one character or one plot or one situation. But here, there were so many stories running parallel. And one more thing I just noticed, now we have discussed about everybody, but nobody has mentioned Kabir. I thought that he was one of the main characters of the book. And in fact, like somebody was talking about whether Lata made the final correct choice. I don't know, somehow till the end of the story, I was feeling that she would choose Kabir. Maybe because I'm a little bit romantic full, but somebody said that maybe we could have a detailed discussion in the later, whether what choice she made was, I mean, whether normal people would have made that, because that also, and it's another thing I was really gave a lot of thought, like why she chose Harish and not Kabir or Amit or Man. Another thing which is still a question to me is that Rashid character, this Urdu teacher. In the beginning, he is shown as a very good and very nice fellow, and suddenly towards end of this book, that character, they made him look, I don't know, psychic or whatever. What could be that reason? Hello.
Yes.
Hello. I think
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
yeah, those are the points I would like to make.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Would someone like to respond or add to the ones who have been quite? Yes.
First point that Archana made, that I think it's also a writer's technique. Besides the fact that there was no other distractions at that time for young people or for young readers, it's also a writer's technique to describe everything. You notice that very few characters are really, flat characters. You have all characters that are well rounded, the main characters in the book. And one of the techniques that Vikram Seth uses is, I think, to introduce situations wherein certain Hindu ideas are put to test without directly talking about them. So, it's when you go into a writing class, you have to show things without describing them. And I think that is how he does. For example, Rupa Mehra's and Lata's visit to the tannery. Now, tannery carries with it so many ideas of pollution, right? But he exposes them to the journey, he takes them to the journey, and it's like one of the ways of showing a pathway to modernity. And they are at the end of it, they don't say it, but they are kind of they can't take it anymore. But the journey happens on. Similarly, there are other descriptions. For example, when they describe London, parts of London, Harish, Arun, and Mr. Khandelwal, they are describing parts of London. And you realize what a pragmatic character Khandelwal is. He will say, yes, I go to a particular, stay at a particular hotel, Claridge's is it? And then he says, the staff is very good to me. But in that, he's actually trying to show off his power. How often he visits London, how the staff take care of him because he's a powerful member. Whereas Arun, you find he's such sophisticate, the way he talks, his accent, his derision, like he's a little British Chota Babu. But you realize, like Gauravi rightly pointed out, these guys are full of British nostalgia. But Arun has not even visited London. And along with him, Meenakshi plays that role. And even Harish himself is like flabbergasted because Arun is questioning Harish on parts of London, trying to pose as a know-all where he's not even been to London. So this kind of an atmosphere that is being created by examining the different social classes, the Bhadraloks at some point of time through the Chatterjees, then Arun's family, Arun trying to show off his position, and yet there is a hollowness about it, and so many others. So I think those long descriptions also carry this ploy to be able to bring in more of India rather than rather than uh, describing it. It is shown through conversations, it's shown through description, and so on. Yes, that is just what I wanted to say. Actually,
Can I add something?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So this is the first Margao Book Club meeting that I'm attending. So I'm really glad to be here. And I'm sorry that I have to confess actually that not only did I not read it half, but I did not read it at all. And I did something even worse, which is that I watched the series. Having said that, in my defense, I should say that I read it like when it came out 30 years ago. And so, I hope that that sort of allows me to continue remaining a member of this club. So whatever I'm talking about is more of based on my memories of the book from what I read then. So as you can imagine, 30 years ago, I was pretty young and pretty romantic, and the focus of the book for me was really the love story. And I went through the whole book, really enjoying the whole book, and of course all the characters and everything. But what I really, really enjoyed at that point was the kind of, very sort of hidden, and the love, the relationship, the romance between Lata and Kabir, where they were only able to meet, catch some snatches of time together. And, even before they reached home, somebody had told on them that, this Lata had been seen with this boy. And this capturing this whole small town kind of romance, which did exist in India, say up to 15, 20 years ago, where we didn't have this culture of cafes and things like that. And for young people, if they wanted to meet somewhere, it was in these hidden locations. And, so I just remember that capturing that small time kind of romance really nicely, and where it is all based on them, on, thinking about each other, and, being so much in love without actually having spent too much of time. And in the serial, they actually have Kabir and Lata kissing each other. But I don't know, you all can remind me, in the book, I didn't remember that happening in the book at all. It was a very chaste, but, really pure kind of romance. So at the end of the book, I remember sort of thinking, really rooting all the time for Lata and Kabir, and being so heartbroken when she did not choose him. But then at the same time, I felt that, Vikram Seth, by having made Lata choose somebody else, had actually made the readers even more aware of the fact that, she could have gone against tradition, she could have gone against family, she could have gone with her heart, and she could have really chosen Kabir. So in fact, by making this end of the story where they both go, where she goes with Harish, he actually even more strongly posited the fact that she should have or could have gone with Kabir. So that's what I remember at the time. And then when I watched the serial, of course, I really enjoyed, reliving some of the things. And one of the really, really funny episodes was what Savia just talked about, where Arun starts spluttering from the glass when he's asked when he had last visited London after all those pretentious statements, But then at the end of the series again, and this might be also partly because Kabir was such a dish in the serial, I remember I really felt again, that she should have chosen him. So I was just telling my husband that, I was heartbroken at the end of reading the book. And now at the end of the serial, I was again heartbroken and felt that she should have gone for Kabir. And then he said that, oh, good, it's good to see how long you've traveled in the last 30 years. So that's my little bit from what I remember of the book. Thanks.
Dr. Preeti and Dr. Siona, I think you have not.
I just want to add one point. Gauravi, I hope we have this section where we are discussing the series versus the book. There are like lots of comments to say about that. Maybe at the end, we should definitely do one.
Yeah, we can all add sections to it. We are not sticking only to my points.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is the mic okay?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, first of all, I chose to be Malti. Because she was a medical student and I'm a doctor. And besides that, I am actually a romantic. And I really felt bad for Kabir. And Malti was in favor of Kabir, and she felt very rotten that she had actually instigated Lata against Kabir by, that false rumor that she had heard her friend say. So I had a soft corner in the same sense that Malti had. And Malti was very, very sorry that she married Harish and not Kabir. So that was the first point. Secondly, I read this book. This book was given to me about 3 years ago by somebody. And I just hatched it because it was so big. Then I tried reading it. I read about 100 pages and I left it. Then I read another 200 pages and I left it. Then I made a chart. I kept following that, turning back to see the relationships of those families, and I would get muddled. And every time my son came home, he says, "What? You're still at that book? You're still at that book?" Finally, I started again from the beginning and read it through and through, and because of this book club, and I really enjoyed it. There were some other people who are actually members of the book club, but male, who found it very boring, and they said they were not going to read it. Probably that's why they're not here. But I told that person who told me, I said, that book is really interesting and I enjoyed it. So actually I did. And how Vikram Seth has got these 4 families in India. So it's so much of fact in that, the facts are really unbelievable. Like from the smallest thing.
She's not audible, no? Something went wrong. It's your internet connection. I think it can take something else.
I think there is some issue with her internet connection.
Dr. Siona, would you like to?
Even the type of food they eat, the type of yeah, actually I missed part of it because of this internet connection. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. So I said Arun was such a brag, and yet he looked after his parents, his mother. He didn't like Varun, but he kept Varun in his house. His house was so tiny, like they said, 2.5 bedrooms. Yet he kept Varun with him in that half a bedroom, whatever. And he wrote such a terrible letter to Lata about Harish. And yet when she decided to get married to Harish, he didn't really put his foot down and say, no, you can't. He also went with it, and he was hurt that she didn't have it from his house. Those kind of ties, today it wouldn't have happened. Today they would have just cut off relationship. You said this and I'm not talking to you. That family bonding was quite nice to see. Even the Nawab Sahib of Baitar and his sons, that family bonding with Zainab. And then the relationship between the Muslim and I missed the discussions. I don't know if this was spoken. The relationship between that Muslim family and the Hindu family was so good that I also grew up in Muslims, Hindus, and Christians. And it was like, it was a very good relationship. Today, the world has changed, and I don't think that's happening today. Today, there's always this caste and creed and religion comes into it. So that's what I wanted to say. But I enjoyed the book. And I haven't seen the serial. So I will not be able to join in your further discussion, Tamanna, because I haven't seen the serial. Although I want to see it, but later. That's it for me.
It's okay. You can watch it after this now. You should
When
watch
I
it
haven't seen it, I'm going to finish the book and then watch it. And I hope Rujita is coming to watch it with me. She's promised
Dr.
me.
Siona, please.
Yeah, that's a good fun actually watching it together.
Yeah, Aruna. Anyone wants the serial? Please give me a pen drive. Leave it at Dr. Deepa's and I'll give you the recording. Okay?
But good idea to watch it after reading, because once you watch it, your characters in your head are the ones from the serial only then.
I want to say something.
Because we watched the trailers, I think throughout we have imagined Tabu as Saida Bhai. And now I may start imagining Rujita as her.
I found that visit to Baitar Estate also, Man's visit to Baitar Estate, very enlightening, because this book was written, the setting was before the withdrawal of Privy Purses. And you realize, these Nawabs they are Nawabis, but they have migrated to the cities, and what a rot has set in. The hierarchies, the exploitation, and it's the poorest who are the sufferers. They are being thrown out, they are being mishandled and manhandled, whereas the Nawabs live on oblivious. So that was very interestingly brought out in that visit, Man's visit to Baitar House, Baitar Estate.
In fact, he did such a good job of bringing alive that whole Zamindari Act that I remember studying this in history, in a history textbook, and it was quite literally a paragraph or a chapter in the book, right? And you just at that point, I remember thinking it was such. We were all told and thought that the Zamindari Act was such a good thing for India, which of course it was eventually. But the way Vikram said has portrayed it as like it is not just a black and white act. I mean, there were so many people's lives that were affected, and it was not a fair act for the way it was executed. So that was I thought a very interesting and realistic picture of what was probably actually happening in India during that 1950s to 52 time.
And
Yeah,
as
that was a
rightly
very
pointed out,
interesting thing.
he borrowed the papers so that he could get the parliamentary debates correct.
Yeah, I mean, he's research. He took 6 years to write the book. I'm not surprised his research
He
was
was quite
so
young,
thorough.
40.
In fact, I read an interview where he spoke to this the Fab India owner. I can't remember his name. And this thing, and he has a dog called Cuddles, and this dog is exactly this Amit's dog. So the name Cuddles is real, and this dog called Cuddles actually goes and bites people's ankles. And the way the owner describes him, Cuddles has a tendency of biting people who are like upwardly mobile in life, so if he's bitten your ankle, that means you're probably going to be successful in life. And so he talks about how Vikram said came first day and he was more interested in talking about the dog than about the person, so he quite literally picked up that incident and put it in. So yeah, fantastic research, fantastic this thing.
So I remember him saying that book took a lot out of him actually, and for a long time after that, I think he didn't actually even do anything much after that because, as you said,
His
the amount
epic.
of research.
Really, it's his epic.
Yeah, it's his epic. In fact, I was so, I really thought that he would get one of the like really big awards for that book, because that is his magnum opus, really, But just wondering, somebody mentioned that Suitable Girl because I remember that he had been given a big advance. But then I thought he returned it because he sort of said that he wasn't able to write that. Does anybody know what happened to that book?
Oh, is it?
He returned the advance.
That's what I heard.
He returned the advance that he got from Penguin. I think Penguin had given him the advance. But he mentioned that I think he was going through some sort of depression because of his personal life issues. So he mentioned that and he said he's over that now and he's still writing it. So I think this was the latest piece of news from 2020. So up until 2020, he said that he stopped in between and then he has started again. So, let's not lose hope for another epic coming.
Today, I think on Wikipedia, I read that he's not yet written the end as of yet. So let's hope that he does come up with the book. Would be so
the end, right? That means we've got like 80% of the book. We've got at least 800 pages to read now. Chal.
Right. And there's so much happening in the book, there were so many points that I had forgotten, or rather they slipped from my mind. But because of the discussion, I can remember them again and, recollect them again. So it's almost like how Ruhi said that it's like a modern day epic. We could call it a modern day epic because there are so many characters and there's so much of verse and prose happening all together. So maybe we could talk about that. I think Aditya was trying to say something in between and we cut him off. You want to continue, Aditya?
So, I just wanted to say that I think Lata's choice was the correct one because she chose Haresh because the name of the book is The Suitable Boy. And according to Rupa Mehta, the suitable boy would be a Khatri and a proper Khatri for that matter. And he should have a good job and he should be well settled. The other characters which were in the race were not that. So I think that was the whole theme of the book, where she chooses the suitable boy. And another point is for what Archana asked was Rashid going crazy. I think there's one line in the book where Bibo, the Saida Bhai's maid, she says that the watchman had to beat him up. So maybe then he had some injury to his head or something like that. And another thing I want to say is like two of the main characters don't have a first name in the book, Mrs. Mahesh Kapoor and Mrs. Tandon. So I don't know why that is.
I think that's tied up with their whole identities with their husband, right? I mean, those are the two.
Right.
Mrs. Rupa Mehra only has Rupa to her name because her husband has passed away. Well, I mean, it's just a commentary on how so much of their identities at that time was being you were just you were just like listening to your husband. You were not actually your own unique identity. So that was there. But an interesting point about saying that because the book was titled Suitable Boy, that she chose the suitable boy, because as I already said, I didn't think that was a good choice on her part. I thought that the writer especially kind of like Vikram Singh was very harsh with Harish's character. Like his flaws were more obvious. Like he kind of really talked about his flaws a lot, right down from the pan chewing to the the family background and how he's come up. But at the same time, he also spent a lot of time showing his improvement, right? But I felt like their entire interaction was very clinical. Like even Lata, there was no emotion. It was a very it was an understanding. Like I know that this man. It was a very I'm weighing the pros and cons and saying that this guy is good, and quite literally he's a suitable boy on paper, because considering most of their relationship happened on paper, she was quite literally saying this is a suitable boy on paper. I felt like Lata did not want to take the risks that would come with a relationship with Kabir, or and Amit of course was never a contender. I mean, he was a contender for everyone else but not for her, right? But like if Kabir was a choice of her heart, Harish was completely a choice of her mind and her mother, of course. But in the end, I still feel like I don't think either any of the men were right for her. I would have like told her, just wait another year and see who else comes along. Yeah, because that. But overall, if I look at all the characters, I would say for me the most suitable of all the suitable boys was Pran. I really liked his character. I thought Pran was the most. He was sensible. He was educated. Right. He had a backbone when he had to have a backbone. He also was very straightforward when it came to a lot of like the religious things and the emotional side of things. He didn't take too much this thing about the fact that he had asthma, and his medical condition was something that he had to deal with, but it was not something that held him back. Like, I mean, he went forth and did whatever he had to do. So for me, Pran was like the ultimate suitable boy from the entire book.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, lots of things that you have said, I agree with you. But Lata herself mentions, and I think Gauravi mentioned it too. Twice Lata says, I could have married Man. You see? And Man is the one who goes through trial by fire. While these other characters, they are just kind of passing through the book and have different phases. It is Man who faces so many trials. First is his relationship with Saida Begum, which he openly professes, and he is ready to become an outcast for it. He doesn't shy away or anything. He also knows that he is very romantically soft on women. Every time he sees a pretty girl, you find him, thinking about her afterwards. He is the one who goes into rural India and whose heart really undergoes a sea change. Before that, I think his attachment to politics is only that his father is a politician. But here, this is like the real education of Man. He realizes what it stands for, and there he gets polarized to situations. Like when at the Baitar house, one of the poor families is being, uh, thrown out, because the son happened to claim a little bit of land. He actually, is ready to defend them to the point of, becoming an enemy himself in that situation. So there are several situations like this. The way he discards everything, he's not bothered about his social status. He goes and watches the stars. He lives in that poor family and kind of imbibes rural India. And then when he comes back to the city, his heart is still with Saida. but at the same time, he's a changed man. Then, when this offense is committed, where he hits the Baitar boy and he thinks he's dead, he, is so truthful that he goes to the police station and surrenders. And then also comes that strong bond between what is one India and the other half of India. Like, the two families reconcile themselves because their friendship is much stronger than the fracas that had taken place. uh, Mr. Baitar need not have condescended because he was a noble, and Mahesh Kapoor himself was a big politician. But for them, their hearts are in their right place. They come together. It's a situation you can't expect in modern India, which is so polarized. But I think it's very typical of the 50s, where even though there were things like the party, there were also these things that, at one time created divide tales between families, and at other times families rose above the regular modicum of things, and expressed higher values of that Hindu Muslim brotherhood. So I think some of those things are very touching in the novel. um, I do empathize with the menfolk who said so boring, but it's a slice of India, take it or leave it.
Yeah, the incident of that Man and the incident on Moram night when Man protects Imtiaz is so important to the context of when he's the one who's actually like hurting Imtiaz, right, which is the brother. Yeah, so that is, I think those two incidences, the first incident was so important to kind of highlight their relationship, and then the second incident, of course, was the trial by fire. But coming back to something Savya said, I actually forgot about Man, and coming back to my first point, I actually thought Man and Lata had such a great friendship. I mean, it was a relationship that no one really considered, but I mean, they hung out together, they could talk about things. Even when Man was in jail, he asked for Lata because he always felt like she was someone who would understand his plight and probably be in like a non-judgmental zone for him, like a good sounding board. I thought that was a friendship that was worth exploring into a romantic interest, even though at that point Man was still had like a huge big like Saidabai's larger than life kind of romance hanging on his head. And another thing with Man and Lata, I liked how while the story says a suitable boy, and Lata's story is all about finding a suitable boy, Man's story is all about his affair with the most unsuitable girl, right? And how society is so obsessed with finding Lata, this perfect, suitable boy, while they turn a blind eye to Man, and he's like, they all know what he's doing. Everyone knows about Man and Saida Bai, but no one really acknowledges it or even thinks it's a problem. I mean, his own father knows and is really angry about it, but doesn't bother doing anything because he's a man and whatever, he's going to be forgiven, all these things. So that was also a whole suitability versus unsuitability kind of comparison that I found interesting.
And also
Very
this
true.
friendship of Harish and Lata.
Can I just add?
Yeah, sure. It was like two people sitting in that Goan chair, the friendship chair. Yeah. Tanvi wants to say something. Sorry, Tanvi.
Yeah, I would just like to add to what Savia was saying about the brotherhood that is seen, and I also noticed the kind of paradoxes which are seen in the novel. Like there is this one society of India which is shown where they have all sorts of comforts, and they have these lavish parties like in the form of Chatterjees and all the elite class. And then we also see when especially when Man goes to the village with Rashid, and we see the completely other side of India, which is the rural India where there's so much of poverty, and there's that old couple whose son has gone to Calcutta and has never returned back to them. And so there is this contrast which still exists in India, is very beautifully and very subtly shown in the novel. Like it's not really bombarded to the readers. And speaking about the suitable boy, the title, and rooting for whom, um, I think since the beginning I was very fascinated with the character of Man, and I think there is this conversation between Man and Lata, if I'm not mistaken, during Samita's wedding. Your sister, sorry, your sister, my brother, something something like that, that they talk. And since then, I think there's some kind of spark which is not at all seen in, either between Lata and Harish, or any other suitable boys that she meets. Of course, Kabir, she's in love with, and he's in love with her. But again, I didn't see that kind of spark which I saw between Man and Lata, in spite of them being just, friends or relatives, distant relatives. Yeah, and that is why even I felt that, there could have been this twist where somehow Lata and Man get together. But again, I think if I'm not mistaken, Aditya mentioned that because the title of the novel was Suitable Boy, and that's why it had to be this one. Also, although I haven't read the end, but yeah, just to justify, it was neither Kabir nor Man, just to justify that, this was the time where girls couldn't choose their own partner. They couldn't dare to go for an interreligious marriage, or it was a risk. And probably that is why I started getting losing interest in the character of Lata after some point of time, because of the point that Tamara said, that she didn't want to take the risk. Yeah.
Other interesting.
Right, Tanvi, and I think also the fact that with Kabir, it's like more of although we, since we like reading romantic content, and it sort of has the fascination that it comes with, but Kabir is a lot is about passion, more about passion. I mean, I find a lot more depth in Man and Saida Bai's relationship than I do in Kabir and Lata's relationship. It's like that first crush that you need to get over eventually, to either you move on with the same person, or you move on to the next one. So I didn't really although I liked what I read, I didn't really root for them towards the end. But yeah, how scandalous would it be if Lata did not choose anyone? I mean, if she decided to like really say, because she goes on in the beginning about how she does not want to get married, and Rupa Mehra is very worried about all of that. So how scandalous would it actually be if we had a heroine who stood her ground and said that, no, I really don't want to get married, and had her reasons for it? Because at the end of the book, although Harish Harish has his reasons, he stands. I like the character of Harish for all various reasons, for the fact that he is definitely more than Amit or Kabir. He seems like a much more grounded person than them, and there are various instances across the book to prove that. But Lata does not emerge as this. There's no growth in her character per se. You feel she regresses. I mean, I feel that she regresses more than progresses. There's growth in Man, there is growth in Harish, but there's no growth in Lata's character. It's like you're expecting something from her, but that does not happen. So that was a little disappointing. Also, I think one point that I wanted to talk about, and nobody has raised it yet, is the language in the book. How it's how the language, the simplicity of the language, it's beautifully written. And there are not many metaphors, or there's no decorative language per se. It's a very simple read, it's a quick read, and that's good, because because it's a really long book. But the one thing that I would have loved, and I don't know if you all agree with it, was if there was a somewhere along the line, maybe I was expecting a couple of Urdu words when there was Saida Bai into the picture, maybe to bring about the feel of those poems that those songs that she sings at the holy concert, or then the banter that Man and she they have. Maybe I was expecting the use of a little bit of Urdu words here and there to bring that feel of Urdu poetry, especially since I have had this very poetic notion about Urdu poetry being linked to romance. And just sometimes I don't understand the meaning of the words, but I still like listening to Urdu poetry, just for the feel that comes with it. So I found that lacking in the book. Maybe I don't know whether authors were not experimenting at that point in time about bringing in words from other languages into the book. But we had God of Small Things that was written almost around the same time, and you had Malayali words into the book. So maybe that was one point, the language that I maybe he could have brought in a little bit of Indian influence over there. But anyone wants to
Yeah,
say
I just want
something
to,
about that?
yeah, I
Yes.
just want to add something. I know we're not talking about the serial now, but just to say that I thought Meera Nair had done a really good job of bringing out Saida's character by also, including these Urdu words and exactly what you said. That is really essential to bring out that character. And that seems to have been done in the serial anyways.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, you're right. I think this fashion to introduce many languages together is far more recent. You know, maybe it was a kind
So
of.
maybe it was not, yeah, it was not something that authors ventured into at that point in time. Right. Yes.
I think it was another example of he's setting the context, because I remember a part of the book where they talked about how like a certain political party was actively trying to kind of make Urdu, like, subdue Urdu and kind of give prominence to Hindi or Sanskrit. And India was trying to find Hindi as a middle ground. So by introducing all these, the Urdus and the Urdu, which was especially because Urdu was such a language of music and such a language of the arts at that point, and of course, language of the Muslims. Vikram Seth was trying to give us a better picture of the politics of language at that point, maybe something like that.
Right. Correct. Also, the fact that he's very subtle, like Savia mentioned, he's very subtle with his with the way he brings the concept, his the issues to the fore. Like this whole Hindu-Muslim love story kind of thing. We expect a lot more drama, but that does not happen in the form. The first melodramatic point of drama comes from the boys or the girls' parents. Generally in your Hindi cinema or in a book, you expect the parents to be the opposition factor. But that does not happen in this book. I mean, we have Rupa Mehra, but we don't see that happening from Kabir's point of view. There's no extremist parent waiting at his end saying that, no, this cannot happen. And that's not present. So it's very subtle. That sort of opposition which the reader is expecting today is not present. Now, I don't know whether it was something that one wouldn't expect 20 years down the line before, or, so, but as a reader of today, I was expecting that sort of strong oppositional factor to feature somewhere in the book, but that did not happen. It was more of a subtle thing where we thought, we decided that, Lata is not going to take the risk, but there was no in your face message kind of, you cannot do this. Nobody saying that, no, I forbid it in a very strong way.
You're very right. I mean, Kabir as a character stands alone. Even his father, at no point he is privy to what is happening, nor is he's any, there's no, what you say, Saki. There's no, like, Malti is there. There's no Malti in his life who he confides in. He's standing all alone stoically, and whatever opposition is coming from the girl's side, So the entire, this thing that we get, a refusal or a negative this thing towards Kabir as a contender is from her side. From his side, you're very right, Gauravi. There is nothing, it's just a blank. And the only slight this thing is, I think, when he goes to visit his mother.
True.
But I thought that was what made Kabir. I always found Kabir as an idealist, like someone who lived in a dream world, because he didn't have these influences, like his father was someone who was only involved in math. The mother was non-existent. There was no one else to tell him. Whereas Lata was living in a family where she was hearing all these opinions. She was living in a family that was more a part of society than Kabir's family was. So for her, the actual differences, this whole what would actually happen if there was a Hindu-Muslim union was more visible. Whereas Kabir was just like, let's just see what happens. It's not a big deal. For Kabir, it was not a big deal because I feel like he was not really in touch with the reality of that time and in touch with the actual, he didn't understand the bigness and of the situation and how wrong things could go if there was like a Hindu Muslim union. Whereas Lata was constantly reminded that, this is not possible. Lata was a part of all the incidences that happened. I mean, the riots were kind of close in, like, there was a part of a family involved in the riots and hurt by the riots. There was a part of a family that was always affected by all the Hindu Muslim issues that happened, whereas Kabir was kind of isolated from all these. So he, I felt, was a very dream state, a very idealistic opinion that would have not worked in reality.
Would someone like to add, the ones who have not gotten a chance to share their views? I think Rujuta has been awfully quiet. There's Aruna.
Yeah, Dr. Siona also. We have only 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So please.
Yes. Rujuta, you want to say something?
Yeah, unfortunately, I kept getting disconnected. My net is very bad today. I have no idea why. But okay, so I missed a little bit of what was being discussed. But speaking about Kabir, okay, so that's what I caught on from. So yeah, emotionally, when you're reading the book, because everybody has had that love and that first crush and that wave of emotions, so you're always rooting for him. I remember when I read the book for some 10 years ago or something, that was the first thought that came into my mind. I was very disappointed that she had chosen Harish and she had let go of Kabir. Even though in the beginning she showed that passion, she said that, let's run away, because she was not really thinking straight. And then he brought her down and said, no, I have to study, and then I have to appear for some exam. So she was brought down on earth, and then her mother, of course, took over and everything changed. But she kind of, what do you say? What do you call it? Like, she became a realist and decided finally that, what, it's my future, this is my family, I have to live under these circumstances, and knowing what my it will be if I go ahead with Kabir, it's not going to work out. But even though that was the case, it was disappointing to know that she would not go ahead. But given a choice in real life for us also, I feel, I don't think many of us would still go in for the choice of choosing a different religion probably, or going against family. So in that way, she still represents somebody who I can relate to even today. It's not like somebody from the 50s that I feel. Those things are still very much prevalent in the middle class India today. You do not find these things very prominently. There would be opposition even today. So finally she would choose somebody who falls under the right bracket of everything, clicks or ticks all the right spots, and for her mother and family and for herself, knowing about her future. Yeah. Kabir, I don't know. In the end, when she doesn't choose him, but that whole thing where when she tells him that she's corresponding with Harish, and he holds her hand and he really hurts her, didn't that make like that? Didn't that raise like a red flag? I don't know. Or maybe we are thinking from the terms of today's modern world, and then looking at it from that point of view. I don't know, but I found it very, very weird. Like, that if something does not go till then, he had that, he was understanding. He was not, because when she came out from her exam, or when they met for the last time, he was under the bench and she was crying. He left her and he let go because he realized there was no point. But then he suddenly became very passionate, held her hand, made her cry. So I felt that was a little, I couldn't digest that about him. And like Tamara said, maybe I would have
Is
told her, like,
Rujuta
wait a year.
stuck, I think?
Oh, okay, I couldn't. Am I stuck?
No, we can see you. I can hear you.
Okay. No, but yeah, at one point I thought a man would come into the picture, because if I saw the trailer correctly, they had also said that he says something to Anna. I think maybe we should get married or something of that sort. I'm not sure whether that happens or whether I imagined it in the trailer. But yeah, so again, this book has so much and so many things happening, and every character, even now if I think about it, not just those 4 families that have been shown in the chart, but every single thing, like even Rashid's family and the intricacies of that family, or Dipankar, or Agrawal and his family. So there are so many things that have not been mentioned in those charts in the 4 things. But even today, when I sit and I'm like thinking about all the characters, I can think about small details about them, and I can think about their stories and etch them. So it's not like in a 1,350-page book, I have lost some character. Even Cuddles, like someone mentioned,
That
you
lipstick.
think about Cuddles.
Horrible.
Yeah. Anyway, since I lost the link, I'm sorry, I don't know what was spoken, but y'all can go on. Somebody else can take over.
There's just 1 minute remaining. And I think,
Yes.
Gauravi, we need to wind up. Thank you, everyone. Please, is it okay to do Tin Drum the next month? Is that okay? Or we'll discuss that online? But please wind up the meeting, Gauravi.
Right. Okay. So I think it has indeed been a very interesting, I think I've attended like around 3 or 4 meetings maybe, and I can rightfully say that this has been one of my most interesting discussions so far, probably because a lot of us took an effort to dress up and get into the mood of set the mood for the discussion basically. And I'm hoping that I'm glad to see that despite of the fact that this was one of the longest books, so many of us have managed to join the discussion, because previously I've joined the discussions and we were hardly like 6 of us, 5 or 6 of us, and this is one of the longest, and yet we are almost 9 or 10. I think around 10 of us. So I'm looking forward to reading Tin Drum, and I hope everybody enjoyed this discussion.
Okay, 27th, and after that, we have a poetry session. Your own poetry.
Yes.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Good night.
Right.
And thank you again.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Guys, thank you very much,
Bye,
Gauravi.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Gauravi. Bye, guys.